Chapter 3 Bullies, Blades, Buoys.
I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Unquote. Emily Dickinson. The sun leaked in like it always did, silent, steady, and completely uninterested in my standoff with the mirror. I cracked open the medicine cabinet and stared, as I often did, at the 2-inch slot in the rust-tinged metal where the glass shelves should have been. The cabinet was a rectangular box inset into the bathroom wall, meant to house toothbrushes, shaving cream, aftershave, and actual medicine. Mine held none of these, just roach droppings scattered like punctuation across the pitted surface. Etched above the slot were the words razor blades. Without a toothbrush or toothpaste to keep me busy, I sometimes stood there just staring into that hole, wondering what lay behind it. Were there blades in the wall, left by past tenants? Could I reach them? And if I could, what might I do? Life wasn't fair. I watched those sitcom families on TV, dads who cracked jokes, moms who rolled their eyes with love, and kids who never seemed to go to bed angry or hungry. It was like watching a live broadcast from another planet, not just because of what they had, but because they never had to think about having it. I knew I didn't belong in that world, not as a guest star or a background extra. That wasn't self pity. It was just the kind of math the world seemed to do around me. While other kids at school stressed over pop quizzes, I was wondering if the lights would still be on when I got home, or if dinner would be another greasy government cheese and potato concoction. When I got up in the morning, the question of what to wear never slowed me down. I only had a few outfits, and most came from the Big S, my nickname for the Salvation Army, like a secret code to mask the shame. Some shirts buttoned on the wrong side, and more than once I heard, "Are you wearing a girl's shirt?" Mom said I looked handsome and that it was the style, but what I wanted was to blend in. Not to be Alex P. Keaton, but maybe Skippy? Awkward, harmless, someone nobody noticed long enough to laugh at. The Big S rarely had anything boys my age hadn't already shredded through. So I wore what was left: threadbare jeans, mismatched shirts, and whatever shoes still had soles. Hygiene wasn't much better. If I had a toothbrush, I wasn't using it right. My crooked teeth made me easy pickings. My school nemesis had braces, wealth you could wear on your face. Every punch I threw was dodged with ease. He moved like a pasty white Muhammad Ali in slow motion, but just fast enough to humiliate me. I sported warts on every finger of each hand and on my eyelids and nose. I was slow to develop, and I would glance around at the mustachioed, athletic boys, wondering why God decided to leave me prepubescent for my entire life, while they likely asked themselves, "What team is this guy playing for?" in the unenlightened vernacular of the day. I had to take the bus to middle school because walking or biking was too far, and every morning 2 kids waited for me at the stop like vultures. One big and broad shouldered, with that square jawed swagger, and the other twitchy and sharp, with a greasy mop of blonde hair and a mustache he was far too proud of. They towered over me, but their clothes were just as worn out: threads hanging from the pant legs, dirty shoes, stained t-shirts. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe they saw something in me they hated in themselves. But I never learned where they lived or what their lives were like. I was too busy surviving. The California test of basic skills sorted us all into phases. I was always in the phase 4 and 5 classes with the rich kids. My bus stop bullies were likely in phase 2 or 3, far from my academic world, but never far enough to leave me alone. The bigger one's voice would cut through the noise of the bus stop, loud and mocking. His pet parrot would chime in, always playing the part of the hype man, always ready with an echoing comment and sneer. Hey, Tim, is this your boyfriend? He asked one of the other kids, making sure to get a laugh at my expense. Tim was a preacher's son, bigger than me, but too hesitant to intervene. He sometimes talked to me at school, but kept his distance when the other two were around. Self-preservation. I couldn't blame him. Tim was a friendly enough kid who tried to befriend me, but that didn't last long. I'm not sure whether it was the bullies at the bus stop, Tim's parents, or Tim himself who ended our friendship. It seemed to flounder after only a few awkward visits to their bus stop adjacent church parish residence. It was hard to believe in a God who's supposedly watching over me when even the preacher's son didn't want to be seen standing next to me. Not everyone was cruel in junior high school. Some kids would slip me money for pencils or paper, but they were nowhere to be found when the bullies circled. They knew better than to get involved. Sam and Billy weren't the kids you wanted to be on the wrong side of. These bullies tossed change into the urinals just to see if I or some other desperate kid would fish it out. The money appealed to me because I wanted to sell the free lunch. If I could scrounge up 25 cents and keep the milk, I could trade what passed for food pyramid nutrition for a quote unquote milkshake. This concoction was nothing more than ice, chocolate syrup, and a low fat, dairy adjacent liquid, but it made me feel like one of the rich kids when I drank it. Hey, rich kid, I'll trade you this Mexican pizza and my sides for a quarter if you let me keep the milk. The kids I called rich lived in houses about the size of my in law's bottom floor apartment today. They weren't actually rich, just middle class, back when the gap between classes didn't feel like a canyon. A few of these NASA job parented kids were my friends, or at least tried to be, but it was hard to hang out. Most of them lived near each other in the same subdivision while we lived on the other side of the town. Our car rarely had gas, and we had no phone to coordinate plans. Still, credit to Mom. She got me there a few times. One friend invited me to his pool, where I taught myself to swim. After a few visits and after confronting the mortal fear of water passed down from my grandmother, I managed to dog paddle my way to the edge. In truth, I was probably more driven by the fear of embarrassment than the fear of drowning. As kids, as kind as those kids were, though, the logistics made friendship impractical. As kind as those kids were, though, the logistics made friendship impractical. I needed friends who lived closer. Just down the road from the bus stop and my house sat the town marina. I admired a family of kids who lived on a sailboat there. They were just as kind as the rich kids, and their home could go anywhere. They had the run of the marina and food in their little fridge below deck. Hey, Kip, do you think we could make peanut butter and jelly like we did the other day? Yeah, John, I bet we have some cocoa and sugar too. We can get some ice and also make a milkshake. Kip spoke my faux milkshake love language fluently. My Kip spoke my faux milkshake love language fluently. Kip's sister was a 17-year-old girl, full of angst and not interested in talking to any of us at any time. His older brother was a rugged bodybuilder with chiseled features and that long hair 80s dudes sported when they were too cool to read X-Men comics. He was about as different from Kip and me as you could get. Kip's youngest brother was a chubby, freckle-faced kid, like the kid from the Sandlot, with an unshakable belief that, at 11, he knew everything worth knowing. He wasn't the type to ask questions. He was the type to make pronouncements. If you mentioned a video game, he had a better way to play it. If you quoted a movie, he corrected your memory of it. He had the swagger of a preteen Cliff Clavin from Cheers, rattling off obscure facts, half-truths, and outright fabrications with complete conviction. Even when he was wrong, especially when he was wrong, he doubled down. as if sheer confidence could bend reality to his version of events. Their sailboat was clean and well maintained, but it was not going to be reviewed by Robin Leach on the lifestyles of the rich and famous or featured on MTV Cribs. Kip and his three siblings had two parents and ate dinner as a family every night. One night I recall waiting on the back deck while the family ate together in the cabin below. Kip came out to the deck, avoiding my eyes. Well, that boat felt like magic, a floating tree fort like the one I had on Long Island. So when Kip came out, I expected he might be holding a plate and sporting a smile. Instead, his hands were empty. His eyes hung low and his voice quiet. Dad said, "You can't wait out here. You need to come back tomorrow." I nodded, swallowed hard. One comment, one closed hatch. That's all Stunad ever needed. See, even the good ones get tired of you. You don't fit in there anywhere for long. His voice didn't yell. It didn't need to. It just moved in and made itself at home. As I stepped off the boat, I stared down at my dirty shoes and the warped planks beneath them. But then, something steadier. The Colonel. "It wasn't Kip who sent you away. He still wants you around. You know that." And I did. So the next day, I went back. As a father of three young men now, I understand Kip and Tim's dads more than I ever could back then. The kids your children spend time with help shape who they become and how they see themselves. Those dads were steering their boys away from whatever it was they thought I represented. From the outside, I probably looked like everything they were trying to avoid. Neither one really got to know me, and I don't blame them. Back then, it would have taken a determined kind of patience to dig through all the awkward to find the real me. This wasn't the era of open-hearted conversations and emotionally intelligent fathering. TV dads welcomed the oddball next door, but real dads barely spoke to their own kids, let alone someone else's. Kip, though, Kip was different. Like the channel markers clanging just offshore, he was a signal of safety in waters I didn't know how to navigate. He popped in and out of that sailboat hatch with a smile and an idea. He was patient, present. He didn't ask for explanations. And maybe he sensed that my more than likely clinically depressed emotions could only handle so much closeness before pushing people away. He was a few years younger, but we were kindred in all the ways that mattered. I was too awkward for the older kids. He was too sharp to hang with his little brother. We met in the middle, where the forts were palm fronds and cardboard, the weapons were sticks, and the language was milkshakes and trust. Kip wasn't just a friend. He was a buoy, a reminder that survival didn't have to mean suffering, that you could float, laugh, explore, even dream. Kip gave me a portal to somewhere else when I needed a way out of the bus stop gauntlet and the cafeteria free lunch grind. Looking back, the Colonel still sent messages through the static, nudging me toward Kip's voice. Sergeant Stunad wanted me frozen in shame. The Colonel nudged. "Go, hang out, be the kid with a friend, just for a little while." After Mom pawned my bike, Kip walked with me. When I was hungry, Kip fed me. When I needed to talk, Kip listened. He didn't even know he was doing it, but Kip was laying down breadcrumbs to a different life. His voice didn't boom like Lee Majors or command like the Colonel. It cracked mid-sentence like Peter Brady in When It's Time to Change. But it still carried truth. And I followed it. Despite Kip's efforts, the Colonel's voice continued to fade because by then, Stunad wasn't working alone. He'd found himself a duet partner, my mother.